You're mid-sentence at work when the word just vanishes. You know it. You can almost taste it, but your brain has simply locked. Your colleague is waiting. You feel the heat rise to your face. This happens 3 times this week alone. Then come the keys. They're always somewhere, but finding them takes 10 minutes of retracing steps, opening drawers, checking the same pocket twice. You start to wonder, is this stress? Is this aging? Or is this the beginning of something worse? Something you've heard whispers about in waiting rooms and worried late-night searches. Early dementia. The word sits heavy. If you felt that creeping dread, if you're noticing these small breaks in your cognitive armor, hit subscribe, because this channel is where we decode what's actually happening in your body. And the answer might be far less catastrophic and far more fixable than you think. You're not losing your mind. But at 41, something fundamental is shifting inside your brain, and nobody's been honest about what it really is. Your estrogen and progesterone are in flux. These aren't just reproductive hormones. They're architects of your neurobiology. Estrogen doesn't just regulate your cycle. It builds and maintains the synaptic connections that let you remember where you put your phone. It stabilizes neurotransmitters that keep your attention sharp and your word retrieval instant. Progesterone acts as a neuroprotectant, a chemical shield that keeps your neurons firing cleanly and your cognitive load manageable. For decades, these two hormones have been flowing in a predictable rhythm. Your brain has learned to function within that chemical landscape. Then, somewhere in your late 30s or early 40s, that landscape starts to shift. The fluctuations begin. Some days your estrogen climbs, then drops. Progesterone becomes erratic. And your brain, that incredibly sophisticated organ that's been running on a stable chemical platform, suddenly finds itself operating in an unfamiliar environment. The glitches start small. A word on the tip of your tongue that won't surface. A moment where you walk into a room and forget why. You misplace things more often. Your focus splinters faster than it used to. If this is hitting home, drop a like, because this is information most women never connect to what's actually happening. These fluctuations affect memory consolidation directly. That's the process where short-term experience gets locked into long-term storage. When your hormones destabilize, that filing system stutters. Your brain is still recording. You're not broken, but the filing is inconsistent. Some memories stick, others seem to evaporate. Your processing speed shifts too. You might feel slower to find words, slower to multitask, slower to shift focus between tasks. It's a brain operating on an altered neurochemical platform, and that takes adjustment. Estrogen also plays a role in how your brain manages inflammation and oxidative stress. When estrogen dips, your brain loses some of its chemical anti-inflammatory protection. Subtle inflammation rises. You might not feel it, but your cognition does. It becomes a little hazier, a little cloudier. Then there's the neurotransmitter piece. Estrogen influences serotonin receptors, dopamine availability, and acetylcholine function. Acetylcholine is crucial for attention and memory formation. When estrogen fluctuates, acetylcholine availability becomes unpredictable. One day, your brain feels clear. The next day, it feels like you're thinking through fog. The fear sets in because you don't know the pattern yet. You've never experienced your brain this way before. Every forgotten word feels like evidence. Every misplaced item feels like a harbinger. The internet doesn't help. It floods you with information about early onset cognitive decline, about dementia pathology, about how these things begin so quietly that you don't notice until it's too late. But what the internet rarely tells you is that most cognitive hiccups in your 40s aren't pathology. They're a window into a biological transition that millions of women are experiencing right now, usually in complete isolation and silence, because nobody talks about it. Your doctor might not connect these symptoms to hormonal shifts. You might not connect them yourself. So you sit with the fear, wondering if something is fundamentally wrong with your brain. Meanwhile, the real culprit is just your estrogen and progesterone in the process of recalibrating. It's unsettling. It feels real, and it is real, neurologically speaking. But it's not irreversible. It's not degenerative. It's a transition. Understanding that distinction is where everything changes. So what does a real reset actually look like? It starts with sleep. Not just more of it, but the kind of sleep that lets your brain actually repair itself. During deep sleep, your glymphatic system flushes out metabolic waste that builds up during the day. When your hormones are fluctuating, this process gets disrupted. You're not sleeping poorly because you're getting older. You're sleeping poorly because your progesterone, which acts as a natural sedative, is becoming erratic. The fix isn't a prescription. It's a protocol. Consistent bedtime, cooler room temperature, no screens, 90 minutes before bed. These aren't wellness platitudes. They're neurological necessities right now. Your brain's ability to form new neural pathways, to learn, to remember, depends on this. Then comes nutrition, and here's where it gets specific. Your brain runs on neurotransmitters: dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine. All of them require building blocks. Estrogen decline means your body becomes less efficient at converting the amino acid tryptophan into serotonin. Your dopamine production drops. The nutrients that become critical aren't random superfoods. They're targeted. Omega-3 fatty acids for neuronal membrane integrity. B vitamins for methylation cycles that produce your neurotransmitters. Magnesium for mitochondrial energy production in your brain cells. Mitochondria are where the real story lives. They're the power plants of your neurons. Estrogen doesn't just regulate mood and memory. It's a direct regulator of mitochondrial function. When estrogen destabilizes, your brain cells literally produce less ATP, the currency of cellular energy. You feel foggy because your neurons are running on reduced power. Feed them what they need, and the lights come back on. There's also the matter of blood sugar stability. Fluctuating hormones make your insulin sensitivity unpredictable. Your brain depends on steady glucose. When blood sugar spikes and crashes, so does your cognitive function. Protein and healthy fat at every meal isn't a diet trend. It's a buffer against the neurological chaos of hormonal transition. Your brain will thank you within weeks. But here's what really matters. Understanding that this fog is a signal, not a sentence. Your brain isn't breaking down. It's recalibrating. The neural pathways are still there. The neuroplasticity is still available. Your brain at 41 is actually primed to learn faster than it was at 25, if you give it the right conditions. And right now, the right conditions are about honoring the biological shift you're moving through, not fighting it or ignoring it. This is where the empowerment comes in. You can't control your hormones directly, but you can control sleep architecture. You can control nutrient density. You can control glucose stability. You can control how much stress you're carrying, because chronic stress accelerates cognitive decline far more than any hormone ever will. You can control movement. Regular exercise, especially strength training, increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the molecule that supports neuronal growth and protection. Everything you do to support your physical health is simultaneously protecting your cognitive future. The women who experience the worst brain fog during this transition are often the ones who interpret it as a sign of decline, and then stop engaging cognitively. They withdraw. They assume their sharp mind is gone, and the lack of cognitive challenge actually accelerates decline. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you're not that woman anymore. You know better now. Brain fog at 41 is not early dementia. It's not permanent. It's not a preview of your future. It's a very temporary recalibration happening in real time, and it's completely addressable. Start tonight with sleep. Tomorrow, look at what you're eating. This week, add one form of movement that feels good. These aren't huge overhauls. They're targeted interventions designed to support the one organ that makes you you. And within 4 to 8 weeks, you'll notice the fog lifting. Your words will come back. Your focus will sharpen. You'll feel like yourself again, not like the version of yourself from a decade ago, but like the clearer, wiser version that was always waiting on the other side of this transition. That's not hope. That's neuroscience. That's what happens when you stop blaming yourself and start supporting your brain through what it's actually going through. If this resonated with you, subscribe so you don't miss the ones ahead. We're going deeper into the neuroscience of hormonal transitions and how to protect your cognitive edge through every decade. And if this helped you understand what's really happening in your brain, please like it. I'd genuinely love to hear from you in the comments. What symptom brought you here today? Is it the word finding, the focus, the memory lapses, or is it something else entirely? Your answer helps me know what to cover next.